Raw, real, and just a little dangerous. This is Feral.
Sarah, I gotta give you mad props in that without being a Jill of all trades, which we know we don't want to be, you have transformed magnificently from owning one area of your expertise to owning yet another area of your expertise. And I just gotta give you some major mad props on this because I've now gotten to learn from you in more than one lane in such a deep and genuine way. And it's just so stinking cool. So y'all, Sarah came to me as a money coach and in some ways still is very much in my mind a money coach. This girl will change your relationship with your accounts and your numbers for flippin' ever. But lately, something else has been sitting on Sarah's mind and heart, and she has discovered that she's amazing at the art of something that I think was already pretty dead, and then COVID killed all the way. And maybe I'm just speaking for myself. But, you know, networking. It's come a long way since the 80s, maybe. What does it mean? Now there are virtual rooms. Now there are things in person again. Should we just be chucking business cards at each other? Can we have a meaningful conversation in 2 minutes? Is friendship important? And more. Sarah Westcott, how are people networking wrong?
Okay, so I'm so glad you asked, Danny. What a surprise you asked. This is so much fun. So here's the thing. When we think about like building business by referral, or we think about networking, like what comes to mind? For me, three things come to mind. It's either those really awkward, like meet and greet events, public networking events where maybe there's a wine and cheese, maybe there's not, and you're supposed to like go and just randomly meet people and ask about what you do. And before you know it, you start getting pitched to. Like ick.
Yeah.
Or it's the coffee chat that's supposed to be about let's get to know each other, and you get ambushed into somebody pitching you something. Or maybe you've been the person who've done that, right?
We've all done it. Trying it on. Like, no shame out there. Anybody who's like, I've never done that. We have all done it, even accidentally.
Some of us were taught that. Like we were taught in sales programs, just go out there, make a list of names and go out there. This is the third one. Make a list of all your friends and family and hit them up and go pitch your thing to them. And bonus points if you've ever like ambushed someone with come on over for dinner, and then you pull out the whiteboard and start like presenting a sales pitch to them.
Or the Cutco knives.
Exactly.
Notice that this steak was brilliantly cut by this brand new Cutco knife available right over there.
Exactly. And like none of us do any of these things. We don't go to the chamber events. We don't go to the coffee chats to buy the thing. I am not there to buy I use Ginsu knives. That's my example, but same thing, right? You know, or the insurance plan, or, you know, the air purification system. And there's no shade on any of those things. If I'm in the market for that, awesome. But right, it's from the MLM handbook. Kate wrote in there. And again, no shade at that. But a lot of us were taught back in the day and sales programs that you've got to go out and build a book of business. So you got to go out there and like hunt for your clients and pitch to everyone.
And fake a party.
Or like be at the gas pump and start a conversation with the person next to you over there. And all of a sudden you're handing out business cards. And I mean, people still do that. I still get prospected that way from time to time. I'm sorry, but ick. It feels so insincere. And it's just ick. And then here's the thing, layer on top of that, the traditional idea of networking or, has such the slimy schmoozy feel, and it's geared towards, or it's biased towards extroverts. And hey, newsflash, I know no one here right now would recognize this, but I am a raging introvert.
Okay.
I don't people. I don't like
people.
We
know this about each other. And so Annie P. Ruggles, Ann Elizabeth Passanisi Ruggles, hereby swear and attest that I recognize Sarah Westcott as a loud introvert. We exist. We have finite accounts of extroversion, and some of us have masked autism, right?
And exactly. It's
but now
exhausting.
You want to swear that I am also an introvert.
Yeah, I will. You totally, Annie. I will swear as well. Because here's the thing, we can bring the energy and we can people really well. And make no mistake, peopling is a verb and it is exhausting. And, I have to caffeinate and all the things in order to bring all of this sparkling personality when I people.
Yeah.
And, I will be, a recluse for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
There's only so much of that. Right. Networking brought you here. And it's the beauty of it, because it doesn't have to be that way. And here's the secret. And, I am a multifaceted or multi-pronged approach entrepreneur. There's another word for that, and I can't remember what it is. But I do a bunch of things.
Jenny called you a multi-potentialite in the chat.
A multi-potentialite. Oh, I like that. That's kind of good too.
Or a polymath. I mean, we could go with
poly entrepreneur. Ooh, there's something sexy about that.
That sounds like Lori Handlers and Michael Gibson on Feral After Dark coming.
But that's the thing. So I started a business almost 20 years ago, and with that mindset of, okay, like everybody says, if you build it, they will come. And that's great for a movie. Love Kevin Costner, beautiful baseball, love baseball. Lousy for a business. And I got to that point where I was really good at what I did, and I was the best kept secret out there, and I needed to do something more. And finally somebody invited me to one of those open networking events, and let me just tell you, it was a train wreck, because again, introvert and incredibly shy. And I show up at that little in-person meeting, and I've got my little written out 60-second introduction, and my face is all red, and but a funny thing happened. They were really friendly, and I decided to join the group, and I got better at it over time. And then another thing happened, which was everybody loved me, and I still wasn't getting, right, because what's not to love, right? And I still wasn't getting any good quality referrals in my primary career as a money coach. I help people with their money. And so there's a lot of misconceptions about
easy to refer in
some
it's
aspects. Also, a lot of shame, a lot of uncomfortable. People don't talk about their money. And I was trying to tell people how to send me the perfect client with things that only I would know how to recognize, not what other people would know how to recognize. And so there was this barrier and this disconnect between people wanting to learn how to refer me and help me and build relationship with me, but they didn't know how. And so out of that came the second prong of my career. I learned how to get good at networking. And it didn't mean having to go to all of the events, because, oh my gosh, I don't want to walk into a room full of strangers. I just don't. And get sold Ginsu knives.
Not with 19 pandemics raging at any given moment. Like,
this was a decade ago or more, but
immune system is a precious enough reason to stay home. If I'm going to interface with people, or if I'm going to brush my hair to get on a Zoom,
oh my gosh, yeah,
I need to have, like you said, a reason. And I want to harken back to something so critical that I think you said that I just think bears so much repeating, which is that sometimes we forget that we are other people's audiences until we're reminded that we're other people's audiences. But when we attend networking events, be it virtual or in person or hybrid, what have you, or the impromptu ones, maybe you meet somebody at the gas station and it's lovely and you happen to bring it up. Cool. But all of those things happen beautifully and organically and better with preparation.
Right.
And because you're there to listen and experience, not to buy something. Sarah very clearly said, you are not here to buy something. That's not why you go. So why would you treat it like it's why they go? They are there to meet someone. I always say, if you're on LinkedIn, for example, you're there to meet someone or learn something, and that's the only reason you're there. Now, that's wrong now, because LinkedIn now has the best games on the internet. So now there's 3
really
to be on LinkedIn.
I didn't know that either.
Oh my God. I'm going to have to do a whole event about LinkedIn video or LinkedIn games. But to your point, like, what are they there for? They are there to what?
So here's the thing. Most of the people who are doing it wrong are going to these events to hunt for new clients. And as we just said, I'm not your client. Here's how I would say, whether it's a public event or whether or not it's our warm, social, low-hanging fruit family and friends, super casual, I'm not prospecting you. It's teaching people how to introduce us, teaching people what to listen for. And I knew I had arrived when both my 18-year-old kid and my 85-year-old mother learned how to naturally say, oh my gosh, hear something that a potential client from me would say and say, oh my gosh, you need to meet my mom, my daughter. She does that. Let me connect you.
It's transferable.
It's transferable.
To your point, it doesn't turn into telephone, which is like, I always used to tell the story about when my godson, who is now 13 and has a girlfriend, but when he was tiny, he lived with us for like a week. And so he was sleeping like in a room next to my office. And at the end, for funsies, I was like, hey, dude, what do I do? Like, what do I do for work? And he's like, you yell at people.
Bingo. Yes, that's how a client described me. I yell at people for buying bagels. I mean, no, I don't do that.
I'm not incorrect, but I don't expect him to be able to advocate for me as a proper affiliate or have that turn into any traffic of any valuable kind other than a laugh, right? So it's not transferable because I wasn't clear. Okay, tell me more about that change.
Oh, but let me go back to the other point first. Let's come back to this. But the other point is sometimes, I know, sometimes we want to go to these, if we're going to go to these public events, we need people who can be rainmakers in our world. We need people who are going to naturally know how to introduce us to the people we need to meet, right? And those people may not be in the room, but there may be other people who can introduce us in the room. So sometimes I will say we go to these events to hunt for people we want to farm with. Referral relationships are about farming. And, relationship is in the word. We're building relationships. Annie's not going to introduce me and vice versa without knowing me enough and liking me enough and trusting me enough to knowing that I'm not going to make you look like a schmuck in front of all these people here, right? That's the technical term, by the way.
Schmuckonomics.
Economics.
By Sarah Westcott.
I love it. But there's this level of trust that has to happen. You are loaning me your credibility when you introduce me and vice versa. And so, generally speaking, that's a long game, not a short game. But sometimes I need to be in front of people who know how to introduce me. So for example, I use all the time the idea of let me use my own example. Like as a money coach, I thought that anybody else who dealt with money stuff would be a good referral partner for me. And so I spent a lot of time 20 years ago meeting with as many financial advisors and accountants and insurance people as I possibly could, because of course they should refer me. It was natural, right? But what I discovered is they weren't interacting with the people who really would use me. We had different client profiles completely. So I had to step out of the people I already knew to be able to search for people who did actually work with my ideal client. So take a florist, for example. How do you, who buys, what do? They sell flowers. But when do people actually buy flowers? What's the problem that the florist solves? Going back to Wendy's point, what's the problem that the florist solves? Well, it's the husband who's in the doghouse and better buy some flowers for his wife. It's the bridal party. It's somebody's parent just died and I need to send sympathy flowers or anniversary flowers. Or it's the parent who has a kid in a dance recital who needs to have the performance bouquet.
Ryan brought me flowers this morning.
Oh,
he solved the problem of his wife hosting a festival.
Exactly. So when you know what the problem that they solve is, and the people who need what it is that you do in that sense, I'm going to go out and look for other professionals who also solve that problem. So take like the wedding partner mafia, for example. A couple getting married needs all kinds of services, right? And you provide the photography, and I provide the limo driving, and somebody else provides the dress, and somebody else provides the tuxedos. Well, we're all working with that same client doing different things. And so if that's my ideal client, I'm going to go out and hunt for other professionals who specifically work with couples getting married. And so I'm going to use those networking events to find out, okay, tell me about who you work with. Tell me about the kind of your home run, sweet spot, bread and butter client. Mixing all those metaphors. And so I'm using those events now, not to sell what I do, but to find out if maybe they're going to be a good fit for us to build relationship with long term. It's kind of like dating, kind of like speed dating a little bit. And then I'm going to use a term here. I'm going to give you my tip here, which I can't claim. It's my dear friend Amy Kilpatrick came up with this, but it's called the always get a yes technique. And it's simply this: Annie, I've just met you, but it sounds like you and I may share a very similar kind of ideal client. Would you be interested in getting together further so I can find out more about you and what you do and who you serve and get to know you better, so that if I've got someone who's a good fit for what you do, I'd be more comfortable referring you?
Okay. Let's unpack that. Okay.
Yeah.
There's so many pieces of that are brilliant. And here's the thing though, we are giving you a template so that you can put it into your own mouth in your own voice. If you walk
Yes.
into this event and you say, Sarah and Annie said that I am supposed to say, I see that you and I have a common
Exactly.
target market. It ain't gonna work, right? We got to
No.
show up first as a human. But you said you so many times more than we said me. And this is, or I. And this is taught to people not as well, but it's disingenuous for them because they only care about me, myself, and them. Right? Like
Right.
they only care
Right.
about themselves. If you're at this event, that ain't you, baby. So that give and take matters to you. And you can show that in a genuine and true way by saying, I want to feel comfortable referring you. How would you feel about hanging out with me? I see that I have similar clients with you. Let's talk together about how we can do something that supports both of us, including
Win. It's win for
Yep.
me, win for you, and win for the shared referral client.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be disingenuous, because here's the thing. If I've got a really strong network of other professionals that I can refer out to, that makes me look like the rock star. Like, even if I don't make a dime off of introducing someone to you, it has benefit to me. Clients stay long. Like, I can introduce my mom to a bazillion one peoples and you could work with my mom. It still makes me look good. And that's the true win. And so when everybody in my world knows me as Sarah's the go-to person for anything, you need a fence repair, I got a guy, I got a gal. Like, that
Everybody
makes
wants
me
to
more
be-
valuable.
Exactly. That puts a check in your column, right? That puts a feather in your cap. Where did this get so screwed up? Because it seems like go to party, make a friend should be basic and sure as crap isn't. Like, where did we go awry? How did we go awry? And how do we rein this sucker back in?
Oh, that's a great question. I have to imagine it goes back to like 1980s sales strategies somewhere along the way, somewhere.
You got 4 seconds. Make them give you their
right. And this, like, I'm going to make a friend, but I'm really not. Like, don't be disingenuous. Come on, like, go and make a friend for the sake of making friend. Like, good things come around. I'm there to genuinely get to know people, because if I'm going with a giver's gain mentality, all options are open. It's like going to be curious. Annie, how can I help you today? I'm not coming to sell you something. I'm not coming to sell you my stuff or anything else. But what's going on in your world that you need help with? Maybe I can introduce you to someone. Maybe you need a roof repair. Well, maybe you need more client. Like, whatever that is. Like, I genuinely want to build relationship with people and get to know people.
Tell me what you think of this. One of my favorite questions to ask when I rarely leave my house, as I am a hobbit. One of my favorite, again, introvert. One of my favorite questions to ask people is, who did you come here to meet?
Right. And that's a great question. And you have to know the answer to that. Don't do it without having a plan for why you're doing it.
Right. And also your own answer, right? So, like, I always say, like, who did you come here to meet? Which they normally say, well, like, ooh, I really am trying to get on so-and-so's radar if they're feeling comfortable. Awesome. Or they're like, I am a dentist. I am looking for people who need a dentist. Or they're like, I don't know why I'm here. My business partner brought me here. I hate these things. You want to go to the bar? Like, you get a good answer, but also a lot of the time they're like, I'm not sure what brings you here. So make sure that when you ask these great questions, which I'm hoping you're incorporating in your networking plan, you also have your own answers, because one of the easiest things that you can do is ask a great question and then give them a moment to answer it when they go, I don't know, what a great question. What would you say?
Exactly. So I am totally good with whether it's a coffee chat or an open networking event, opening it up and letting the other person, like, have more of the conversation. I'm busy drawing out information from them, because guaranteed, if they're worth spending any more time with, it is going to turn around, and I better be prepared. To answer that, right? And
think of what you just said. Hallelujah. Hold on. That's going to make some people uncomfortable, and in what we hope is an expansive way, because I think it's true, right? Like, if you are showing up generously and listening truly, and you are hanging out in this actual, let's make a friend, let's grow a dream, let's be valuable to this community, and maybe get some appetizers. Like, if that's the vibe, then, oh my God, I just lost it. I just lost the vibe. It was so brilliant. It blew my mind.
You are brilliant.
What did you just say? Hold on.
I'd better be prepared.
I better be prepared. Oh, no. It'll turn back around.
Yes.
It'll turn back around in that if you are showing, there it is. If you're showing up in all that generosity, if you're showing up in all that actual rapt attention, if you're really in it, then if the person's worth talking to, they'll show you by either turning it back on you if they have time, if they get carried away, like, literally taken away by some other human or the event ends, that's not on them. But they'll show you when they show you with respect, when they introduce you to other people, when they follow up with you, right? Like if they don't do those things, then thank you next.
Right. And that's telling you something too. This really is it's not an interview process, but it's definitely a filtering process. I'm not going to have I'm not going to be a referral partner with everybody in the world because again, shared, borrowed credibility. I need to make sure. And part of the test is, are you a giver too? Because I'm not going to spend all this time building relationship to give outward if you aren't at least willing to want to find out more about me and how to give to me.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be equal. There's certain things that only flow one direction in terms of giving referrals, but it does have to feel win-win in other kinds of ways. But let me follow that up with this. Jenny has a point that is also at some point, yes, you do actually have to ask for the referral. You can't give and never, at some point you've earned the right to ask and the credibility to ask for the referral back.
That was the main mistake I made in the first probably decade of my business, and I'm not exaggerating.
And I still struggle with that sometimes.
Because I thought no like trust was going to carry the whole thing.
Right. And it doesn't.
So it doesn't. You still got to ask, and you still, to your previous point, have to have that ask be transferable and translatable to other people. Now, Jenny wants to know, what's a referral mafia and what I can get one? And as a Sicilian, I'm just going to sit here and listen like this.
Doesn't that sound like really juicy? But it really is this concept of referral of professionals who share that same kind of ideal client doing different things. And all of a sudden they've got the power of being able to cross refer. So, for the homeowners who love to use their backyard, you've got the mosquito guy who's coming and getting all the mosquitoes out of the way so we can use their backyard, and happen to notice that, gee, your outdoor furniture could probably need a refresh. And so they can refer over to the furniture place. And likewise, people have bought their home, they're going and buying their new spring furniture, and there's a display and a referral opportunity and maybe a coupon code for the mosquito control place. Like once they all share that client, then they can get really strategic with not just listening and introducing, but doing joint marketing together and like really getting sexy with it.
Would you include competitors in that mafia?
It depends. Like, yes, like I'm building my own team of if we can work together, then yes. But I'm not talking about like a formal networking group here necessarily. And I've been part of those formal networking groups where there's only one seat per profession type thing. Those are good and those are great. In my world, it depends. You might have two photographers, one who does portraits and one who does like candid shots. And they both can work with the same kind of client doing different things. Then yeah, I'm going to have it's okay to have some overlap, but that really is a personal, that's all about the relationships and who do I want to have that I want to refer to regularly.
What about competitors to you? Do you have competitors to you in your own mafia?
That's a great, yes. In fact, I do. So for example, in like my financial coaching band of my business, what a line of business, there's clients that are for me sweet spot clients, and there are clients who absolutely aren't. And so I've got other financial coaches, which again, makes me better at what I do because they're not competition. If I've got someone who gets referred over to me, who isn't a good fit, and I just don't want to do that kind of work, I can absolutely, the best thing I can do is refer out to someone else. So those are absolutely part of my referral partner mafia.
There are so many business builders in my referral mafia that I put on a conference called FERAL to show off all the business builders in my referral mafia.
I love it.
You and I are competitors, but a whole lot of other people and I am. And yeah, Laura, our fabulous health coach, food coach queen here extraordinaire, who you're going to hear from tonight at dinner, got so excited she made a networking group that specifically are her competitors because they know what it's like, right? But that again is friendship first, value first, generosity first.
What's best for the clients, what's best for, each other. It really is about like starting from a giving point and a relationship point, and then everything else falls into place. Really, it does.
So before I lose you, and I'm not, so y'all hang out because right after this, we are going to have some arts and craft time, and Sarah's going to lead us through a process of drawing or otherwise arting
Our mafia
systems and our mafia, specifically our mafia. Yes, draw that mafia. Oh my God, my ancestors are like, what? Anyway, follow up. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about non-douchey follow up and not only how to do it, but how to get yourself to do it.
I think that's a great question. And it comes down to, again, paying attention. And when I'm doing, let's say, my one-to-ones, I don't love calling them coffee chats, but everybody understands what those are. I'm taking notes. And after that conversation, I'm generally saying, Annie, this is what I heard. This is not necessarily what you told me, but this is what I heard. This is what I retained. Remember, because we retain a whole lot less. So you may think you've been the most brilliant telling me exactly what you do and how to refer you. Here's my notes. To the extent that they don't match what you think you told me, mea culpa. But here's the opportunity for us to continue the conversation until I've got notes that are strong and robust enough that I can absolutely, and you can know that I can recognize how to refer you. Who's a client pattern?
Why is that so simple and yet not easy at all? Like,
it's not.
If you go in and you're like, hey, I want to know how I can grow your business, who I can refer to you, then it makes total sense to be like, hey, this is what I heard. Am I right?
Yes, and I have a tool that I use, and it doesn't always have to be business related. You and I discover that we both love, weird tea or something. Then I might find an article that if it comes up, or, Field of Dreams, we talked about Field of Dreams today. Hey, I saw whatever it is, like I just try and remember. And there's nothing strategic about it necessarily. That I'm trying to keep notes that this is Annie's favorite dessert, or,
right.
We talked about skydiving, so I need to go research an article for
Sarah. Right. I'm so glad to hear about your children. Like, no, y'all.
It doesn't need to be robotic, but I do have to be engaged in which is why it's so exhausting too, because I want to be actively engaged, and I have to take notes because I'm a woman of a certain age and stuff goes in, it goes out. Hormones are a bitch. So I have to take notes, but that's important because I want to be engaged and be able to have that sense of building friendship that I remember from time to time. It's just a conversation. So the follow-up doesn't have to be anything formal, but it does have to be, hey, let's keep the conversation going. Who do you need to meet? What's going on in your business, and who do you need to meet? How can I help be part of your success story?
Yes. So I loved all of this. Who do you need to meet? Who you all need to meet is Sarah Westcott. If you are not connected with her on LinkedIn, come on.
Please do. Come find me.
Do it right now.
Raw, real, and just a little dangerous. This is Feral.